like he said, discipline is key, which even with my own family and like anybody I'm helping, I'm like, if you're not disciplined, do not do it.
Yeah.
I stress that enough because I don't want you to come back and say, Jeff, I'm in debt. No, like we gotta listen and think about that.
It's crazy you say that because I was talking to somebody else about credit cards just randomly this week.
Yeah.
And I was like telling them, hey, you need to get the Apple Card. Right, because you put me on the Apple Card.
Nah, Jerm put me on the Apple Card.
Jerm put him. He told me, and I was like,
Jerm put me on it.
The selling point you got for me was like, it's titanium.
Same, bro. Same.
I ain't got no, but I got it. It sounds good.
When the waitress come and take and ask for everybody, like you say when we got here.
Wait, one more time.
Yes, sir. The Humble Brag, we are back. Episode 8.
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's all about consistency, man. We've been grinding, getting together every Monday or Tuesday.
I feel like this episode gonna be the one though.
It's the one.
I mean, the other ones are phenomenal, but I feel like
time to go on education mode.
It's just the boys this time.
Just the boys, and we switching it up today.
We switched it up.
This is the first time we all four done been back on in about 3-4 weeks, right?
Yeah, just us.
Yeah, man. Hey, shout out to all the guests that done tapped in with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We've been getting a lot of good feedback.
And that's what it's all about, though, because we're trying to give people platforms. Yeah. Like, that's what we're going to do, but also y'all going to get to know us, too. So.
And before we even get started, we got to say thank you for the support and continue to like and subscribe
and comment
and share. And like us on, subscribe to us on YouTube and on Instagram. Hey, we love y'all.
Much love.
That's good.
Much love.
So, it ain't wine here today. What is this? What we got?
We switching it up today.
So it's Whiskey Wednesdays today, huh?
Yeah, I know a lot of y'all been seeing our titles as being Wine and Whiskey Wednesdays on YouTube. So today we switching it up.
Yeah.
And we going with the whiskey. Uncle Nearest. Hey.
It's the dearest.
Ooh.
Good stuff.
Yes, sir.
1856.
Hey, proceed with caution. Proceed with caution.
I'm a whiskey guy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all, I ain't gonna lie. Y'all really have transformed me. Where I'm going to the restaurants and I know exactly what I don't know everything on the menu. I know enough on the menu and I'm like, hey, so whiskey is right down my alley, right down my avenue, and I know we got some watchers out there that like whiskey, bourbon, the rye feel. So Nathan Green, also known as Uncle Nearest, he was a former slave, right? First African American master distiller. This right here, this whiskey was founded in Tennessee, and his great granddaughter was actually a master blender, and she, along with a team of folks, were honored 2 times back to back, year after year, for best whiskey.
Wow.
Yeah, we got some good stuff here.
And this is one of the fastest growing whiskeys and distilleries in the country.
Yeah. Wow.
So
I think it hit the market in 2017.
Wow.
2017.
I've heard some great things. I haven't even had it yet, but I can't wait to try it.
Oh yeah, and it's good. It's from us as well. And being African American, and also a big proponent and supporter of Uncle Nearest, and I believe he partners with him, is Kenny Burns, a legendary figure in just the event space, in the hip hop culture. Shout out to Kenny Burns. That's how I learned about it at first.
Yeah. Okay.
And
that's dope.
so yeah, shout out.
And I didn't say the name. His great granddaughter's name is Victoria Butler.
Victoria Butler.
Yeah, Victoria Butler.
Shout out.
Man, I'm excited.
I'm ready. Hey,
we got to do the smell test.
Hey, I ain't gonna take it. Smell this.
Sheesh.
That smells.
All right, so
good.
what's the difference then between whiskey and then wine, like for you, Charles? So, especially as we are indulging in it, like, is there something different that we need to do in terms of like handling it? Or
Well, again, I think we'll go back to what you mentioned 2 episodes ago about the visual, right? For me, the glass. From when you go to the store, right? When you go to the store, you're looking at the shelf. You know, is that a stylish glass, right? Like the labeling, right? But then once you put it in the glass, obviously your glass needs to be clean. Get all the fingerprints off your glass. And then, the color is important. And then the smell. That's right.
So is this a top shelf? Like, was this on the top shelf?
Yes, this is considered top shelf.
Okay.
So.
and what's top shelf?
Top shelf?
What's the like significance of that top shelf?
I mean, that's just where your more expensive whiskeys are, you know.
Premium whiskey.
So like you go in the liquor store, you see E&J on the bottom. You get a gallon for $15, but Woodford, that's top shelf.
Yeah.
You get, you know what I'm saying, a 0.75 for $40. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shout out.
What y'all smelling?
I smell
Cinnamon.
Smell that oak, though. I smell that oak. It smells real good, man. I mean,
yeah,
a little bit of cinnamon.
Definitely some cinnamon. It smells spicy already.
Yeah, it do.
Hey.
And notice, y'all, we don't got no chaser either. You know, usually I'll tap a little coke in.
Hey, and wait, that's a good point. No, that's a good point, though. I really feel like to really enjoy like a good whiskey. I'm a whiskey guy myself, but enjoy like a really good whiskey, you gotta either have it neat.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go on the rocks, but I like it neat, man.
So what does neat mean? Because I know what neat means, but some people don't.
Yeah, so neat is just straight at the bottom to the glass. You know what I'm saying? It's not chilled. None of that stuff. It's just the regular room temperature. If you want it on the rocks, you get like a round spear of ice or a square block cube of ice. That way it melts slowly and things like that. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Let's dive in, fellas. Hey, episode 8, man.
Hey, cheers.
Sure.
Hey, to episode 8.
Episode 8.
Cheers.
Oh, this one we can put down and up.
Sorry, y'all. I got a face.
No, it's good.
That's good. That's good, man.
It's definitely strong.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference between whiskey and wine.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Let me give you this quote real quick.
And also, while he's pulling up that quote too, man, when we get into the spirit space, I'm not a whiskey guy. I'm more so a wine person. But also, we just want to tell people drink responsibly.
Yeah, facts.
Absolutely.
I don't think we've said that on any episode.
Because normally if you're drinking, please be at home or somewhere else.
And especially
be out, but just,
Be responsible. Uber,
especially
Uber,
with whiskey,
Lyft.
it's stronger,
Yeah.
and so it'll get you there before you even know it. So you want to be
Before
careful.
you get there, it'll get you
So
there.
this is a 100
Definitely be
proof,
responsible.
100 proof, 50% alcohol value.
100?
This is different.
It's 100.
But it's good though. Most of the wines are going to range anywhere between, it can range 12 to
14.
12 to 14, half 15%. So definitely a difference, something you sip on, but hey, good taste.
Let me share this with you.
What you got for me, CB? What you got for?
So whiskey, more flavorful than vodka, better straight than gin, more authoritative than wine, and more refined than beer.
Yeah.
That's how you define it.
So whiskey where it's at. Whiskey is where it's at.
Yeah, for sure, man.
So, fellas, I think we got a good topic.
Oh yeah,
and discussion that everybody has.
A great topic,
yes, sir. Yes,
a great
sir.
topic.
We've had a lot of requests from our followers, so appreciate y'all sending this stuff in to us. So, a lot of y'all want to know about credit cards and how it works in our culture.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
Oh yeah,
I'm interested in hearing y'all perspectives too.
Especially right now, at this point in time during the taping of this, a lot of concern with our economy and a lot of concern with potential recession. Feel like we might already be in one, getting there.
Technically, we are.
And then also people with jobs and things. Finances is a big conversation right now. It's very big in our community, and credit is a tool that you can leverage to your benefit, but also it can be a detriment and an evil too. If not done properly. So, yeah, man. Jeff, you want to give a little bit of dive into?
Well, I mean, I asked y'all. I asked y'all on the floor. Because I think one thing I do want to ask is like, how was credit growing up? How was that taught to y'all?
So I'm gonna touch on that. So when you think about credit, like you always think about that foundation. Like growing up, did you have like that guidance in your homes, or did your parents say, hey, I'm gonna do this for you to set you up for that? Like, and a lot of times that's not the case. You know what I'm saying? Like for me personally, mom did the best job she could. You know what I'm saying? It was always one of those things where it's like, being around y'all guys in college and stuff, that's when my knowledge of credit started to like happen. You know what I'm saying? And I was always, it was a point where I was like, dang, I need to figure this out. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I really like grounded myself on like, yo, make your money, like pay your bills and do this and do that. Like, and I mean, I've gotten to a point now where I'm like, I got good credit. You know what I'm saying? It's not a problem if I walk somewhere and need a new car. I don't have to worry about my credit being the issue. You know what I'm saying? So that just took me grounding myself, me working extremely hard to like get where I am today as far as in the credit aspect. You know what I'm saying? So that's always been something I like try to take pride on with myself, because I didn't have that guidance. It was always self-taught and trial and error. You know what I'm saying? So it done been times where I done started with a credit card and I didn't use it the way I should have. You know what I'm saying? So that's always been a focus in my mind. Make sure you paying your bills and keeping things under the 33%, and having Jeff, you know what I'm saying, always in my ear about stuff. So it's like, let me listen to him and kind of like tap in. And
we'll talk about that 30% too.
Let's talk about that.
I think like what I was kind of taught growing up was just don't get into debt. You know what I mean? And credit card was always like a avenue towards debt. At least, at the early stages of my parents, as they were, my dad was an entrepreneur, my mom was there to support him and doing her own things. And I also saw us going to Macy's, getting a Macy's card, and then as soon as my mom would use a Macy's card, she'll pay it off. Use a Macy's card, pay it off. But then it would be a time where, things happen in life, and now you putting a lot of big charges on the credit card. And the conversations as a kid, I'm hearing this, they're in the kitchen, I'm in there playing the video game, I'm hearing them talking like, we need to get this paid off. We need to get this paid off. So I always kind of looked at it like it was like an omen, like a bad thing to have credit cards and have a lot of debt, right? And to your point, Jeff is annoying as hell, right? When it comes, but at the same time, it's like, hold on,
you gotta listen. You gotta listen to him.
It's good information, and like as I'm starting to apply those things now and be responsible, which I think is a big part we have to talk about, just like drinking responsibly, credit cards responsibly,
just financial responsibility. We'll talk about that.
So I think that's something that comes along with it, but that definitely can be used towards your benefit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, similarly for me, debt and credit has always had like a stigma behind it of like, you want to make sure you avoid it. For me, one good thing, I had my parents growing up that were victims of not leveraging credit properly, not leveraging debt, and getting into debt at an earlier age, and then being able to tell me and my brother when we get older, hey, that's something that you want to stay away from. So one of the people that they follow is Dave Ramsey. He's a very successful individual, very big on YouTube. Shout out to Uncle Dave.
Uncle Dave.
And he's very big on YouTube. He's probably one of the most followed YouTube accounts as well. But also he has what's called Financial Peace University, which a lot of people have gone through. It stems from different churches. So my parents actually were the leaders at our church at home in Greensboro, and they were the financial peace, advocates and financial peace teachers. And so they talked all about debt. They talked all about credit. And Dave's theory is that credit is just bad altogether.
Don't have no credit.
Right, not having credit altogether. And so The reason being because Dave has his experience of leveraging credit and also being highly over leveraged in debt in real estate. Yeah. And so I think he had to actually go bankrupt at one time. Yeah. And so Dave, there's a lot of people that agree with Dave online, and then there's a lot of people that don't too.
I'm one of those.
Yeah. And it's okay to disagree. It's about figuring out how you leverage money to your benefit. And making sure that it's actually beneficial for you in the long term. Mm-hmm. Dave is coming from a perspective. He has experience and he has his way of doing things. He's a multimillionaire, of course, through real estate, and he doesn't have any debt.
Well, I will say though, with Dave, and we'll get more into this, but I will say that I think his standpoint is coming from maybe, let's say 95% of the world is financially irresponsible.
Yeah.
And so if you think about it from that standpoint, his theory is like, okay, if I'm teaching a course to millions of people who are technically in debt, then they shouldn't have a credit card, right? Mm-hmm. So I get what he's saying, because that's why credit card companies are still around, because they make so much money for people messing up.
Because they've studied you more than you even know. Exactly. They know you better than you know yourself.
Exactly. And so I like to think I'm one of those 5% who get them back, right? And I do it in the right way, and I try to help other people basically get them back too, because that whole corporate financial thing, listen, we all can do it, you just gotta be financially responsible. But and speaking to that, like, I want to give a huge shout out to both my mom Dukes and Jeff Battle Sr., because what I would say is, like, they set me up earlier on to have good credit, right? Now, understanding credit and making sure I wasn't in debt, I kind of learned, I took my own necessary steps to then further that. But they got me started to the point where it's like, okay, I can get any credit card or whatever I want, because I had a 750, 800 credit score coming out of college. You remember, you saw me getting a necklace one time. Well, they put my chain on a credit card while I was in college, so I can start building that credit, right? And so that was just something that kind of really propelled me forward, so I can be able to do what I'm trying to do now. But what I would say is, just going off what each of y'all are saying, it's all y'all are completely right? Like, so many times in our culture, it's much like, hey, stay away from credit, because our parents, friends, whatever, our friends of our parents, whatever it may be, those who are older than us, have been down a road where it's been financially disaster, right? Like, where they're in debt, because it's so easy to go from having $1,000 in debt, 2,000, 3, 5, 10. Next thing you know, you looking up, you're like, man, I'm drowning, right? And I see it. You know what I'm saying? I used to be a financial advisor. I'm still licensed and all that information.
Plug that.
I've seen it with so many people that I've spoken with, where it's like, man, it's so easy to jump into that pool and go to the deep end, you know, and it's hard to get out. But speaking to that, it's just like, credit shouldn't be anything to be afraid of. It should be welcome.
And I think that's a big thing too, because at first it was like, dang, do I really want to get a credit card? But it's like, now, like, I mean, just pay it, you know what I'm saying? Just pay it as you go, or pay it off, or whatever you got to do. Let's kind of like, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's talk about that too, about how in leveraging credit, and of course, we're trying to make sure that it's a game, right?
It's a game.
Right. We're playing against these companies. And at the end of the day, some of the more wealthier people, they are leveraging other people's money.
You play to win the game.
Exactly. They're leveraging other people's money to be able to increase their wealth and their net worth. So one thing Keidra mentioned is, paying off your debt, and also you mentioned about what's the utilization score. So depending on how much credit that you have access to, so say you may have, I don't know,
let's say $10,000.
Say $10,000, and if you have a balance on there, what, 3,000? Is that 30%? Am I doing my math right?
Right.
Cool. So one of the most important pieces of your credit score is your utilization. So one of the things they look at is the balances of all of your credit cards. And if you have over a 30% utilization on those, that's going to have a negative impact.
But see, what people also don't understand is, though, and we'll talk more about this, the more credit you have available to you, all that credit is brought into one space. that is your credit utilization. So you may have one card that's 10,000, one card that's another 10,000, another card that's another 10,000.
That's 30,000.
Well, that's 0.003%. If you spend, let's say you spend that $3,000, you really only spending 0.003%, which I hope my math is right. But that's minimal. You nowhere near that 30%, that 30% utilization. So the way I always try to tell people, and I mean, my biggest thing is like, and y'all know, I get in y'all nerves sometimes, but my biggest thing
all
is
all the time, not something.
But my biggest thing is like, bro, I want y'all to win, and like the only way, like it ain't just me winning. I'm not gonna have all the answers, but y'all win. I want y'all to win, and y'all help me win in other areas too. You know what I'm saying? But for this is what I studied. So the main thing that I always say, so you don't get in trouble, is to pay your credit card off every 2 weeks. Well, most people get paid every 2 weeks.
Leave it zero balance.
Most people. And if you don't, whenever you get paid, let's put it like that. But let's say hypothetically you get paid every 2 weeks. Pay it off every time you get paid. Because you brought up a great point where you were saying, you know, your parents, they were like, you know, they were paid off immediately, but there were some that are like, oh, we got to pay this off. Because the biggest thing that I've seen with people is life happens, bro. You can't control what happens. Like,
and I think that's a big thing too. Like in my situation, like it was always like life's happening. Like single mom, you know what I'm saying, having to do what she got to do. Shout out to Mom Dukes, but
flat tire,
anything. Yeah, so that wasn't always I can afford to pay it off every 2 weeks, but I had to use it to bail me out of this situation.
You always got a flat tire.
You really do.
I done went through about probably
it's the way you
4 or 5 tires this year, man.
We need to put you through driving.
You went through 5 tires in 1 year, and I think they were all on the same wheel.
They were
5 tires.
Dang, you been talking.
I call you like, what's up? You like,
you did come save me. You did come
he's like,
save me.
man, my tire pressure is going all the way down, really fast.
You can't drive.
Bad tire.
Nah, bro, it's always I run over a nail, some construction, something, bro. Every single time.
No, but to that point though, let's just say, so if we're gonna give y'all a real life situation, because Keith is perfect, right? Meaning like,
am I?
No,
Thank
I'm
you,
saying,
bro. I appreciate
I know, but I'm saying like from the standpoint of, if we looking at your situation, right? Let's just say he got a $10,000 limit, and he spent $1,000, and this is like food, whatever you spend your money on. Well, it's essential that he pays it off and on his paycheck, because if he doesn't, he's like, I'm gonna pay it off next at the end of the month. Well, what happens if you get a flat tire, and the tire costs $300 or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Or then the engine blow out. I don't know.
Then rent's due.
Next thing you know, you're like, oh man, I can't pay all this at the end of the month. I gotta pay for this, so I'm gonna push that off. But pushing off is, bro, that's detrimental, because what happens is, as soon as that happens, what if something happens next month? Which it can, bro. I've seen it. So you can have next month, and as we know, now you about $2,000 in the hole. Now you $3,000 in the hole. But it's a snowball effect, and before you know it, you in debt. And it's hard to get out of that. But if you pay it off every 2 weeks, and you're like, I'm paying this every 2 weeks, then okay, if you got $300, $400 due, you can control that. That's a controllable thing. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's the biggest thing that I try to tell people is like, don't be afraid of debt. You just gotta know you gotta be financially disciplined. And I will say this, I want y'all to hear me. If you're not financially disciplined and you're not yet, and you need help, you can reach out to me or whoever, any of these guys. But if you're not financially disciplined, don't get a credit card. Don't do it. Don't even put yourself in that situation. You know,
that's a big disclaimer.
Especially if you are a type of person that impulse buys. You know, anytime you get a paycheck, you ready to go spend on something. And also, one thing that we should also bring up and also stress is making sure that you have an emergency fund. Right. I know we talking about credit, that's leveraging other people's money, but also if you're able to, prior to even getting into that, you want to set up yourself from a cash flow standpoint of having just a reservoir of money.
At least 3 to 6 months.
At least 3 to 6 months of monthly expenses.
Always pay yourself. Always pay yourself, man. I was so proud the other day, man. I was talking to my mom on the phone, and she was like I forgot who she was talking to, but she was like, you know what? I need to make sure I take care of myself first before you know what I'm saying? I was like, dang. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm rubbing off on her in some type of way, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes I may not even be able to pay myself the same every 2 weeks, but I'm able to like still say, okay, I paid myself something this week. You know what I mean? And since I've have my own crib, like everything has been more stricter. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna say it took that for me to become more financially stable, because just I was staying with my mom, like just throwing her $500, $600 a month, you know what I'm saying? And that was that. So now that I got my own crib, my budgeting is tighter. Like I'm paying myself, because I don't want to be in a situation where if I need to do this, I'm stuck. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to do that. So I can definitely say, like, ever since I've kind of been in that mom space, like everything is starting to make more sense as far as credit and paying yourself and having that emergency fund. So that was a great point.
And I do think we skipped over one thing, right? Why credit? Like, why use it? Like what? Like, what is so great about this thing that we're talking about, right? And you know, I think if you're looking at it from a debit/credit standpoint, just on the base level, for example, if we use a debit card, somebody steals it, runs it up,
security,
theft, security, right? It's very hard to get that money back because it's coming from your bank account. Somebody steals my credit card, I really don't care, honestly, because I'm just going to dispute the charge. I didn't spend it, and they're going to give me all my money back because it's coming from the credit card company. That's how it works.
How many times have you disputed charges that you actually made?
No, speaking of that,
I thought I just had one though. I had to call some people. I'm like, hey,
them people listening now.
I don't care. Hey, they can audit me. I'm good. Anyway, you're right though. But that's like a huge thing, man. That a lot of people don't understand. And you need at least one credit card just if you're gonna rent a car otherwise they charge you so much.
So that's funny you say that, bro, because when I was living in Philly, and at this point I had a little starter credit card. You know what I mean? The limit ain't nothing. Like, anyway, so I had to come back to the crib. You know, I had a Blue Blaze at the time. And I was like, no way.
Blue Blaze. So
we went to Enterprise, right? And they was like, yeah, you need to have either this much. I forgot how much it was, but they was like, you need to have this much debit, hold on your card at this much credit. I'm like, dang, I can't even put this on my credit card because my limit ain't even high enough. You know what I mean? So it was like, God, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I can't even go home this weekend because I can't rent a car. You know what I mean? So
I think so. Great. We talked about why credit. We talked about our history with credit, but we have credit cards, right? What cards do you have? Maybe I'll throw that out there for us. And what cards should we go for if we're responsible with it, with our, financially responsible? What cards should we have, right? And why should we have particular cards, and where should we use those cards? That's a loaded question.
Yeah, that's kind of tough.
I ain't gonna lie, I got about 10 credit cards.
But I feel like we all got a kind of sort of different take on this. We was kind of speaking on this before we start recording. I feel like we all kind of got a different take on this. So go ahead, Jeff.
No, I mean, I would say it all depends on what you want, and I know that's not a great answer, but it all depends on what you're looking for. So my biggest thing is like, y'all might have heard me say I got 10 credit cards. Well,
10 of them.
10 of them. And more loading. So like, y'all are going crazy.
I'm a bitch.
No, so like, the reason
you got 10.
But here's the thing though, they're all used for certain things. Now listen, I'm a little geek with this stuff, right? So I track all my stuff. I mean, I have an app that tracks it for me, but I know personally like where everything is going. So for example, I got the Apple credit card, which is not even that great, but it is though, because I get 3% on Apple products, which I buy a lot of Apple.
And 2% back on everything
3% back. So so like if we look at like Apple, right? So I got the Apple credit card. I get 3% back on some things. I get 2% back on some things. So knowing that, I use that for those things. But then also at the same time, I have a Hyatt card I use for all my Hyatt purchases, and I get. And I have an American Express Gold card for all dining stuff where I get 4% back. And I have a gas card from Costco where I get 4% back. So all them paid their own purpose. You know what I'm saying? They have their own role. But here's the thing though. I'm all about getting the most out of these companies, right? And I never carry a balance. Like I pay it off every 2 weeks. Because you know why? Because I'm never spending more than what I actually have, and that's the key thing. It's like
I'm not spending outside your means.
I'm not spending outside my means. I know what my budget is. I know how much I'm spending. And so I'm always good. And so like my credit, my credit line, like my line of credit is, I don't even know what it is, but it's high. And I mean, one of my cards don't even have a credit limit. But the whole thing about that is, I'm not gonna ever say I'm gonna go just spend.
Yeah.
Right.
Facts.
And that's where people get in trouble.
Yeah.
That's a crazy flex, dog. You got a credit card that don't have a limit at all.
No, but that's where people get in trouble though. When people get credit cards where they get high limits. they spend the limits though, you know. And when they spend the limits, that's when they get in trouble. So I'm all about, bro, financial security. And like, my wife didn't believe me. And shout out to Anderson Bosada in New York. He's the one who put me on the whole game, where he didn't tell me exactly which cards he gets, but he's like, bro, you're doing it wrong. And I listen. I'm not one of you. I'm gonna listen. And so I listened. I took his advice, and now I'm playing.
What about him made you take his advice?
Because he showed me. He's like, look, I have this card, I have this card, I have this card, and then he's like, it's like, for example, for the Hyatt and Marriott card, I was like, why do you need both? It don't make sense. And they each got a $95 annual fee, so you're paying money to have the card. He said, yeah, but he said, I get a free night every single year for each of these cards. And the free night, he said, every time he spends $400, he gets a hotel that's $400 or more a night. Yeah. But he's paying $95. Yeah. That's a win.
So either way, you're gonna get your money.
Yeah, that's
you're getting more than your money. You're making a profit.
Yeah.
You're making a profit. Yeah. And so when I started thinking, I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. So when I started seeing that, I'm like, okay, let me look into it. So then I started looking into it. I told wifey about it. She was like, no, we're not doing credit cards. And then next thing you know, she started doing them now. Okay, we went to Italy. You know, we took the Italy trip. We stayed in Lake Como at a 5-star hotel. It was $1,400 a night. $1,400. So what is that? $4,200. What is that? $4,200 for 3 nights. How much you think we paid?
Zero.
Because I had points. Now it was 80,000 points, which is a lot.
How much you spend on it? Y'all do the math for me.
It's 80,000. It's 80,000.
So okay, here's a question. So by you knowing that you were going to this trip, did you use that card to build up these points, or no? So where did the points come from?
So
if you don't use the card,
I do use the card. I use it for whatever it's for, right? Like so, if I'm staying at Hyatt, I use a Hyatt card. Staying at Marriott, I'm staying at Marriott card. But here's the key thing: if you get like a good card, like let's say the Chase Sapphire Reserve, those cards can transfer points that you build on that over to Hyatt and Marriott.
Okay.
So like I had like 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 points on those cards. And I just transfer them to there, and you know. So I had to spend 80,000 points a night, but what is that in the grand scheme of things, you know? Facts. That's how you got to start thinking. I'm not saying jump to that point now, especially if you're getting new to the game. But if you take that little small step and you ask the right people, and you learn about it, you research, do your own research, and you start learning.
One thing I'll say about points, is you got to be strategic on even how you use your points, because you know these companies also understand that. You know, a lot of times you use them when you're in a pinch or last minute. Because I got in a pinch coming out of DR when I flew to Chicago, and then from Chicago I was going to Phoenix. Well, Chicago was completely full, so last minute, day of, I was like, I need a flight going to Phoenix.
And those points are super.
I use my points. And they tell you when you're on the flight, I'm sure like those that travel, they'll tell you, hey, if you sign up today, you get 60,000 bonus points, whatever. That's good for 2 domestic round trip tickets. Nah, that's good for one way trip.
Especially in the heat of things.
In the heat of moment. So if you're traveling, try to plan ahead of time. And you know, obviously look at these, especially for hotels, you know, flights, things like that, in that nature. Try to figure out when the lowest time is to go ahead and off-peak cash out for those points.
No, that's
good stuff, man. That's good stuff.
But like I said, the biggest thing is like once you understand that and you get a little insight into the game,
you good.
You're good, man. You run a point. So like that's why I got 10 credit cards. And I use them all strategically. Like I have a little book. Like I show you the little black book.
You got a pocket book for credit cards.
It's a little black book. It's not a pocket. It's a little square black book. But that's my. I keep all the cards I don't carry. I carry like maybe 5 to 6 cards with me. Because I use those cards for certain things. I got a gas card, all this stuff, right?
I don't have the bandwidth for that.
It's not. But see, that's the thing. The cards that I use, after you use them for like a month, you like, okay, I know this Costco card, the Costco credit card. I know that's 4% back. That's for gas. That's my gas card. I use it for gas. I don't use it for nothing else. But then I use my American Express Gold card for food because I get 4% back.
And he eat a lot of food.
I eat a lot of food. I eat good.
Hey, American Express, you got one.
The main key though, I think that we just got to keep stressing is just discipline.
You're
hearing this from Jeff. He's a disciplined person that also studies these cards, understands what his benefits are. A lot of people got cards. Me being one, I got cards that's got benefits. I don't even really know exactly what it does. I don't know the different points and things but if I look more into those, I could probably take advantage of those, but I just don't, leverage it in that way.
And I want to go back to the point you made earlier about Uncle Dave, right? Dave Ramsey. That's why Dave is saying that you shouldn't have credit cards at all, right? And the reason he's saying that is because there's so many people out here who don't take care of the benefits.
I'm sorry, y'all. This face gonna hit every time.
but there's so many people out here who don't take care of the benefits and they just go into debt. And so, like he said, discipline is key. Which even with my own family and like anybody I'm helping, I'm like, if you're not disciplined, do not do it. I stress that enough because I don't want you to come back and say, Jeff, I'm in debt. No, like you gotta listen and think about that.
It's crazy you say that because I was talking to somebody else about credit cards just randomly this week. And they was like, I was like telling them, hey, you need to get the Apple Card, right? Cause you put me on the Apple Card.
Nah, Jerm put me on the Apple Card.
Jerm put him. He told me, and I was like,
Jerm put me on it.
The selling point you got for me was like it's titanium.
Same, bro. Same.
I ain't got no, but I got it. It sounds good.
When the waitress come and take and ask for everybody, like you say when we got different.
Wait, one more time.
Yes, sir.
It sounds good.
Listen, I got First Horizon as my debit card, right?
Yeah.
Normally I keep it on me. So when we go eat, waitress come around and she giving the cards back. I'd be so embarrassed to get my card back. Bro. Anyways, so look, Apple Card got a dope card.
They got a dope card.
But it also, like, every time you use Apple Pay, you get 2% back, right?
2% back.
And the Apple Cash balance build up.
Man, I'm telling you, like, every time I use it, I see that notification, 2% back. I'm like, I'm getting money back for doing what I would have done with my debit card.
Wait, small. Wait, say that part one more time.
I'm getting money back for doing what I would have did with my debit card.
So that's a key point. That's what people don't understand is like you're not going out of your way to spend more money. You're just spending your everyday living expenses. You're not changing anything. And the faster you understand that, instead of saying I got all this credit, you got the credit, but don't look at it that way. Look at it as this is my debit card.
Yes. And that's what you told me. That's what you told me.
I told you that, right?
Use your card. Look at it as your debit card.
And you know how much money you got in the bank. And so don't go over that. Otherwise, you're going to get overdraft fees, all the rest of the stuff. It's the same concept.
Well, the person that I was talking to, let me go back to this point real quick. The person I was talking to was like, I like all that. They was like, but how do I stop spending? It's like, it's so addicting. Right? Because like you said, they like binge spend basically. Like Amazon. So especially now with COVID, a lot of people shopping online. You got apps.
And Amazon give you 5% off.
Even Apple Pay. Apple Pay, I'm talking about today, I was shopping on doing some clothes shopping. I know I shouldn't have with my car. Party foul.
I shop too. What you mean?
But
with your debit card?
No, I didn't.
I'm about to get mad at him just right now.
Well, I did it with my Apple card.
That's cool,
So
Apple Pay.
It was like, you ready to check out? Face, bam.
So easy.
And they go to the shipping address. So they make it so convenient, and that can be dangerous.
Okay, you get a little rush.
You literally can order something in 3 minutes.
You get a little rush. You like it's a dopamine. You like, yo, it's dopamine. You like, I got this new thing coming in. Like, bro, when I ordered my Apple Watch, I was so happy for weeks. I had to wait for like 2 weeks. I was happy.
Wait, but what did you get? What's this Apple card? You get how much percent back?
I got 3% back.
What's this Apple Watch you got on, man? This monstrosity.
No. So I got the new order. Listen, I'm not trying to, but listen, I was so excited because, and I don't even know how I was excited because I'm not going to use half of the features.
Show the camera your watch.
I just like the way it looked, man. You know what I'm saying? And so basically what ended up happening is I had to wait for 2 weeks. I was excited. You know how they say, don't, if you want to buy something, don't impulse buy, like take some time. Well, I was excited for 2 weeks. So I said, I wanted this. You know what I'm saying? And listen, when I got it, Well, the whole time I'm looking at videos on YouTube on like how to use the watch. I'm like, Jeff, what are you doing?
But see that's your personality. Like,
yeah, I'm weird.
You really anything you buy, you're gonna do your research.
Yeah,
a pair of Lululemon pants. He's gonna know what it's made out of.
The ultimate salesman.
The every amenity that comes with the store. Oh, Kedrick, if your pants rip, just take them back. They'll definitely give you another pair. Or no, order it from me because I get 25% off. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know when they say read the fine print, he reading that fine print.
Mind you, it really played for our benefit because he was like, man, Charles, man, you gotta get lemon. You gotta get lemon water. I'm like,
okay, hold on. What happened to you?
And then my pants ripped. So, and it's probably because it was a little too tight. Right? But I'm thinking to myself, like, yo, if they Lululemon, you paying $120 for a pair of pants, they shouldn't be ripping.
Nah, $158.
Whatever it is.
I got 2 pairs. Shout out.
Yeah, Jeff gave us the rundown. They 100% guarantee on their quality and blah blah.
Lifetime.
So we weren't tripping when they ripped. It was like, oh
no. Charles like, bro, these pants suck, but he know they were way too tight. I mean, he could barely walk in like that.
I went and got them with you.
Yeah,
right.
Look at his pants now.
Yeah, man, tight. And Charles' pants be like this. I'm like, bro, why you wearing so tight?
But Kedrick got his joints ripped. You didn't get yours fixed yet.
Yeah, I did. I took them back. They gave me a brand new pair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's
benefit.
All right. One of the things too I want to talk about is just the Apple ecosystem.
Oh man.
Right now. One thing, be careful. We're talking about the Apple Card. It's great. It's amazing too. It's good. But they are positioning themselves to be able to make your life more seamless, being able to buy and purchase things. They even also had their own savings account coming out.
I didn't know that.
And they partner with Goldman Sachs already with the Apple Card.
Yep.
And so
that gets people to the Goldman Sachs.
So funny you say that. When I got my card, I looked on the back. It said Goldman Sachs. I'm like,
Goldman.
Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, that's crazy.
That's dope.
Yeah. So keep an eye out on that. There was something else. Okay. One thing we've been talking about is consumer credit. Mm-hmm. Consumer credit. That's one thing that, like Jeff says, you got to be disciplined. Have your plan on how you want to leverage it. Yep. Be smart about it. If you do decide to do that, follow the things. Be disciplined. Have your savings, and then also understand what your utilization's rate and get the best out of your benefits.
Yes.
So that's going to be very key. Another thing too, we probably have to do a whole different segment on this. Is just with business credit.
Yeah.
Now, when you're talking about leveraging your credit for business, now we're actually talking about how we're leveraging this to increase our income. Increase the flow of our business. You're leveraging somebody else's money to be able to pour into, if you're investing in equipment. Look, I got a photography business. I'm gonna leverage that. Or if you have, just different equipment for a job that you got to do. Yeah. Personal training. I'm not sure in the real estate space if you all leverage that, but there's many different ways that you can leverage credit, and you, as your business, once you establish it as a LLC or a corporation, you have your own business credit score.
That's how you get your write-offs and everything.
Yep.
So all that kind of ties in together, and that's why credit's so important. So so getting back to your earlier thing, I keep going back to Dave because I know a lot of people may follow him, they may not.
Yeah.
But when he says you don't need credit, I'm like, well, I disagree, Uncle Dave. You need credit. You need credit. It's just you got to be disciplined and responsible.
Well, do you need credit? I always was raised on a saying, and this had nothing to do with money. It was more so like when you do something and you want accolades or you want recognition for something you do. The response I always, this saying, a rich man don't need credit. You ever heard that?
But that's not true.
Hold on now.
Okay.
A rich man don't need credit. And now, mind you, that had nothing to do with finance. It was just you don't need to be acknowledged for the action that you already did.
Yeah, okay, got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is a saying, and it's a thought, a philosophy of, if I got plenty of money in my account, why am I leveraging somebody else's money, right?
But that's what the rich do.
Yeah,
they leverage our money though.
No. So the rich leverage money more than any of us.
Yeah.
Right. So for example, I'm gonna give you somebody who's really rich. Apple. Okay. Apple.
Okay.
Apple.
Okay.
Listen, Apple. So let's
war
look
chest.
At war chest. And when he says war chest, what he means is Apple has about, and it may be more now, but since the last time I checked, they have 195 billion cash on hand. What is billion with a B?
With a B.
Cash on hand. Cash in a vault. So what I mean by that is
Where they keep that at? Where they keep that at?
In the vault. Brian Goldman.
They got all this person, man.
No. So what I'm saying about that is though, but what Apple does and what they do really well is they go buy something. Let's say they purchase a company for $90 billion, right? They still got 100 left or whatever. They're not using their cash to buy that business. They're rich. I mean, that's really rich.
Yeah.
But they're not using any of that money to buy the business. What they do is they say we're going to take a loan at 0.005%.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And the amount of interest that they're paying on that is so minimal that it doesn't matter. But guess what? They get to write the whole thing off because they get to write credit expenses off. That's all part of the tax.
Right.
So they know the game.
Wow.
And that's the business
And
side.
that's the stuff that we weren't necessarily taught.
Yep.
Like our culture. You know what I'm saying? Because the way I grew up, like, and it's not none of their faults because they weren't taught it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
facts,
saying? And so that's why, like, for me, and for anybody I interact with, the little bit that I do know, I try to like give back.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like,
game, man.
and I love to talk to other people who know more than me. So I'm like, teach me. You know what I'm saying?
Question, because you just mentioned about Apple and the very low interest rates.
Yeah.
Well, the credit cards that I've been engaged with or leveraged or whatever you want to call it, they've had very high.
Yep, that was the consumer, John.
The consumer ones, right? They got very high interest rates. So that's why, I mean, obviously for me, it's big that I pay it off because I don't want to be paying.
So watch this. What if you open up a credit card and gave you 100% interest rate? So most of them like 20, 19, 18%. What they gave you 100% interest rate? What does that mean? Why does that matter?
They doubling up on you.
No, wow.
And only if you miss the payment, only if you have a balance.
But
Yeah, if you carry the balance.
If you're paying yourself off every 2 weeks, every time you get paid,
Yeah.
why does it matter?
Yeah, because the life hits,
Life
your
hits,
tires blow.
hits. Yeah.
Life can hit.
Your tire blow and you can't pay off that.
So what he just say though?
What'd he say?
Having a 3 to 6 month emergency fund for when life hits.
Yeah.
See, you gotta have all these things in place, and that's where we mess up, right? Like our culture. And I'm just saying that from experience because like I live it. Like my parents would tell you, their friends would tell you, like I'm sure your parents would tell you, your parents tell you. It's the same thing. Like the way they mess up and the way they go into debt is because they maybe didn't have that because nobody taught them that. You know what I'm saying? And so what we trying to give to y'all is we giving y'all the secret
Free game.
free game, right? Like you gotta have this stuff in place. So if you do go over your head, like I mean, let's say your check is $2,200, $2,500, and you spend on your credit card $2,000, but then you got to pay $600 for a life expense. Well, if need be, if you had 3 to 6 months in expenses, what's $100 going to do to come out and just be like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
You may not have no money for that thing, but you know you got another check coming.
Yeah.
And that's what people got to start understanding, and that's what you call your rainy day fund when you really stuck.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you gotta hold that $100 over, interest on $100 ain't nothing. 20% on $100 ain't nothing. Yeah, it ain't gonna hit you. You know what I'm saying?
And see, that's one thing I want to say, man. Like tapping in with you guys, man. I've actually really like tried to up my game. You know what I'm saying? And that's something I've really been tapping into. Like I say, since I've been living on my own, and my expenses are more now. I've always made sure, like, I want to make sure I can resort back to cash if I need it. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate y'all for that, for sure. That's been a huge help for me. Like venturing out on my own, you know what I'm saying, and just kind of working the way I do, just so I can say I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to ask my parents for anything. I don't have to, like, you know what I'm saying? If anything, like, I just take, you know what I'm saying, take care of it myself.
Give,
I can give, you know what I mean? And that's been so huge for me. And I remember we talked about this, like the pressures of like feeling like we gotta like help our family and stuff, but you gotta have some financial literacy to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have it all figured out. I may slip sometimes, but at the end of the day, tap back in. You know what I'm saying? And like the biggest thing, like I said, just my mom just like unconsciously just seeing how I move and how I'm able to take care of certain things and I'm not reaching my hand out. She told me like, I'm paying myself. And for me, I was like, dang, that's what's up. Like, keep doing that. Keep doing that. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate y'all for that, for sure, man.
That's proud of you, man.
That's been a huge thing.
But bro, I remember when you first started, first of all, and you like, Jeff, this stuff is all over. I'm like, we're gonna get it right. You know what I'm saying? And I think we started out with a budget. Yeah. And then we started going from here, and then I'm like, all right, you need a credit card. You need a credit card. Yeah. But I think in the beginning you couldn't even get the credit card.
I couldn't.
And then
that's because I didn't have no credit.
That's it. But we went a certain route, and look at you now. Like you got multiple.
Yeah.
I mean, you just clean.
Clean.
You know what I'm saying? Clean.
Yeah. And I think all of this is a result. This is the result of us also being able to be successful, being able to have steady jobs right now. And so I think that's also another segment that we may do for y'all too, is just talking about career opportunities. Because we're talking about credit. Something we encourage people to be able to leverage it correctly. But then also it's like, hey, how do I, where's my income at? To be able to help with that. There's many different areas. You got the tech space, you got the logistics area, airlines. You got operations.
But I will say this. Really quick. We figuring it out ourselves.
Yeah, we figuring it out as well.
We don't have it all figured out. We study in certain areas. Like, bro, I came to Germ when I was leaving my job in finance, and I'm like, so tell me about tech again. And it was love to hear him like, yeah, bro, like you need to do this, and I'm like, slow down, just a little bit slow down.
So for us, it's always been a personal network. You know what I'm saying? Like I said,
we're growing together.
Like we started college together. We kind of like, let's all just figure this out. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, one thing about me and my roommates in college, like, yo, we all gonna graduate. That's the goal right now. You know what I'm saying? Some of us was fortunate enough to go on to the league, get a tryout, whatever. But the biggest thing was, bro, get that diploma. Like, let football work for you. You know what I'm saying? And that's always been a thing for me. Like with our group, we always kind of held each other accountable, which is a huge thing in life. Accountability, credit cards, accountability.
We don't like to hear it sometimes, but hey, that's what love's for. We'll come through it.
I was gonna go back to you talking about like, income and like, there's so many different ways to make money. I told you this story today. And I could not make this up, man. Like, so today I'm over by, there's a McDonald's. It's kind of like a hair city at McDonald's where I live, that area. And 7 years ago, 7 years ago, I'm in the back seat of a Honda Accord.
We were driving together.
Michelle was driving. You was in the front seat. I was in the back seat.
Jeez, 7.
Bro, check this story.
7 years ago, and it was in the fall, so around the same time. We driving to a stoplight.
A Honda Accord, bro.
We in the Honda Accord. I'm in the back seat.
That same Honda.
And we pull up beside this dude. He driving an S500 or S550.
New.
Yeah, brand new. So it's like a 2014, 2015. Like it's cold, right? So I'm in the back seat. I'm like, hey yo. He let his window down. I'm like, hey man, that's cold. I said, what do you do? What you do for a living? He's like, I work for Bank of America. I was like, hey man, I said, look, I'm an economics major at Carolina. I want to network with you, thinking like finance was gonna be my next step out of college, right? He's like, and I think he gave me a business card. I remember having a business card.
Out of the car?
No, he
threw his card.
He threw it into the car, bro.
Yeah, he threw the car. I got the car. I followed him on LinkedIn, sent a couple messages back and forth, but then we didn't follow up, right?
Yeah. But it was still dope though.
It was still a dope experience. A young black guy driving a cold S500, and I was just like, man.
But see, the thing is, was great about the story. That was an instant like trigger for you, like. But watch S550. Let me tap in. That was instant.
But watch this.
So I wanted to tap in with him. I wanted to network, right? I wanted to figure out what I had to do to drive what he's driving, right? And mind you, that's small-minded, but like we want. I
was still in school.
Motivation. That's the motivation. That's the motivation.
So let me tell you, today. Well, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't today. Actually, it was today.
It was today. You said today, yeah.
So I'm driving at the same area. I'm pulling up to the stoplight.
Same stoplight.
Right, same stoplight. Now I'm in the Mercedes. Right. This guy pulls up beside me. I got my windows down. I'm headed actually to a meeting, and he's like, "Yo," I turn.
Bro, get out of here.
I cannot make this up. He said,
he called me immediately. I was like, what?
He's like, hey, what do you do? I was like, I'm a manager. I'm an operations manager. And he was like, man, I like this ride, right? And I was just like, the life goes full circle. You know what I'm saying? But
that's crazy.
That's my opportunity to be some type of motivation to him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm telling him, like, you can do it. What are you doing? He's like, I'm doing lawn care. I was like, perfect. I mean, you a business owner. This is at a stoplight. You know what I'm saying?
Same way the dude talked earlier. He was spitting
Everything
game us, and that is what when he told me in my mouth, I was like, stop lying. Like you lying.
Crazy.
He's like, no, bro, like this just happened.
But that's dope, bro. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, so
you gotta be curious, man.
That's crazy.
That's a key note, man. Be curious about things in life. Like there's answers to the questions that you got. You know, and there's people around. So
and I will say this.
That's a dope story.
And that's so dope. And I will say this, just like you said, you gotta be curious, but don't be afraid to ask people for like this information. I mean, cause listen, like for example, myself, like I'm never gonna say, oh, you should do this, right? Like I'm like, hey yo, here's a really good offer. Y'all can do it if y'all want. If y'all don't, I get it. But I'm gonna be like, why ain't y'all do this? You know what I'm saying? But because anything I'm telling you is gonna make you money. Like I'm never gonna be, and you know why? Because it's made me money, and that's how I kind of operate, right? It's like, so, and I try to follow people who make money, and I try to figure out that stuff. But it ain't always just about money. It can be about love, about anything else, like community stuff. Like I try to just be tapped in. You know what I mean? Cause we're so fortunate, man. Like
we are.
Like we're so fortunate to have what we have, and it's just like we got to give information back. And that's why I tell my mom and dad all the time, like, look, like I'm not trying to. It's weird talking to your mom and dad because it's like.
I know.
You know, like I know, and it's like I know, but I'm like, listen, like I ain't trying to tell you what to do. I'm just like, it's gonna make y'all great. Y'all just gotta listen. You know what I mean?
So, it's, like I told you before, and this is for our audience too, is really about who you're communicating to and how you're communicating to them. Like you got to be able to capture me. You got to be able to speak my language. You know what I'm saying? Like your language is not my language. Jeremy's language is not my language. So I'm not intrigued by that stuff. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if you're able to show me like, hey, this credit card is going to be able to allow you to do this, and that's something I'm interested in. That now I get it. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, this might not
pieces together.
Yeah, this information is probably for you, but it has to be interpreted the right way for you. You know what I'm saying? And it has to be dispersed to you the right way. So I hope that I hope you get it, because there's so many different perspectives with credit, but it definitely can be used to your own benefit.
And if you don't get it, reach out in the comments or send us a direct message. We'll hop on a call with you. We don't care. Like, we will help you out. Like,
and that's just for the love.
That's just for love. Like, cause bro, y'all support us. We're gonna support you. We're gonna make sure you're good.
Most definitely.
Well, hey,
hit up Jeff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hit up Jeff for sure.
I answer. Hit me. You know what I'm saying? Hey, but Uncle Nearest.
Great whiskey, man. Great whiskey, man.
Hey.
What's the score on this one, man? What we giving it, man?
That's a 8.5. That's 8.5.
Listen, I ain't gonna lie. I've had a lot of good whiskeys. Look this to me.
That mean it's good.
That mean it's real good. I had a lot of good whiskeys, and I would say it's like a 9 to me. I will be buying this very soon.
Put on the shot. That's good.
Out the 9.
Hey man, but hey, thank y'all for tapping in again, man. We hope all this information was dear to your heart, informational. We got my boy Jeff, the financial guru, in my eyes, you know what I mean? Because I go to him for advice whenever I need any financial advice. So
at least I do the hard studying for you.
Facts.
What's the takeaways, man? Real quick. What's the takeaways,
So real quick on the takeaways. I mean, I get my takeaways and y'all can butt in.
Nah, you got the 3.
I say number 1, be disciplined, be responsible. And that's with money in general. And if you don't go get a credit card,
that's with life.
Money in life.
Money in life. Like food, everything. Like just understand. Don't overeat. Anyway, I'm just saying, like, just be disciplined and understand that whatever you set your mind to, you got to do it. So if you set your mind to have a budget, stand by your budget. Don't go blow it out the water. You know what I mean? I'll say number 2. What I think number 2 is,
don't be afraid to ask for help. You know what I mean? That's mine right there.
Number 1.
Don't be afraid to reach out. You know what I mean? Because like I say, growing up, I didn't have the knowledge, but I got y'all boys. So it's like, yo, Jeff, what you think about this? Jeff, how should I do this? Or Jeff, I'm trying to get this.
That was key. I wasn't gonna be like, yo, you need to do this. Like, so that's cool.
Facts. So that's my number 2.
Number 3.
Man, number 3. From the credit perspective, y'all, just understand what it is that you're investing in. Do your research.
Do your research.
Do your research in. Understand what comes with your credit. Understand what the successes of it, and also what are the downfall, the drawbacks. The pros and the cons of it. Like,
because listen, you can easily fail. We're not saying this is all like peaches and roses and everything, but what we are saying is, If you follow the blueprint of at least paying off your bills every 2 months or whatever, every 2 weeks, whenever you get paid, whatever it is, right? Yep. Every time you get paid, you should pay it off. And then having that emergency fund. You can never go wrong with having an emergency fund because, like we said, we're going into recession right now. And if you don't have an emergency fund, start building it. Start by putting $50, $100 in there, Like,
I think one thing that we miss, and maybe something that we can close with, is why do you need to have credit? Why do you need to have good credit, right? Like, what does that do for you,
Well, I would say good credit in general, and I'm glad you brought that up. Like, having good credit makes life easy.
Yeah.
Meaning let's just say you want to buy a house.
Yeah.
Your interest rate's gonna be way lower. And for those of you who don't know about interest rates, the difference between a 5% interest rate and a 3% interest rate is major.
Big difference.
It's huge. Yeah. Because that's the difference in you paying, if you're looking at over a course of a 30-year period, that's the difference in you paying maybe $100,000, $200,000 more than what you should be paying. Yeah. And that's why in this environment that we're in now, with interest rates going up, people are like, oh my God. But the reason they're doing that is because they want
to secure some
everybody
money,
in the world to stop spending money. So they can bring inflation back down, right? But so that's one of the main benefits. And I also say is like, it adds credibility. Like it shows that
it shows a bank that you're responsible.
Yeah, that's all it is.
It's about credibility. It's like it's your name.
What you can pay back.
It's your name. It's what can you pay back and can you pay back on time. Yeah. If you got a really bad credit score and somebody tells them they got a bad credit score, I don't judge initially, right? But I may judge I may judge and say, okay, well, because, and I'm not saying like from a lending perspective, but like if somebody would come in and ask me for $5,000, I would ask what their credit score is.
Really?
I would. Why not?
Yeah.
Why would you not ask somebody for? And it's weird. It's a weird question. Like, yo, what's your credit score?
Yeah. just like it could be business.
I'm like, yo, what's your credit score? And they say my credit score low. I'm like, why? I didn't make my payments on time, so why should I expect you to pay me back on time?
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. Me?
Just like any business is looking for an investment. Any business is looking for an investment. They're gonna look at your financials.
They pay back on time.
The business. If any business, they're gonna look at your financials if we're looking for an investment.
Why? Because that's smart. That's a smart way of looking at it. And I know it sounds, especially where we from. We from the mud. You know what I'm saying? So like we from the sticks. So where we from, they gonna be like,
I ain't from the mud. I'm from the middle class.
Oh, we from the sticks. So I have people ask me for money all the time, but my rule, and I'm willing to give it. I just know what your credit score is. If you don't have a credit score, why?
If I ask you for money and you say, "Hey, what's your credit score?" I would be like, "You know what? No, no,
I'll go without." That's fine. Okay, that's fine. That means you didn't need it. But I want to do that. I want to do it to any of y'all because I know who y'all are. You know, so I'm not sweating. But I would never do that to y'all. I'll never do that to y'all because, bro, y'all are my boys. I know y'all. I helped you with your credits. I know what it is. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I talk to Charles almost every other day. Every day, really. And
so you know what I stand on.
Yeah, I know what you stand on, but I know what your principles are. You know what I'm saying? But if it's a person I ain't talked to in a while, and they're like, "Yeah, I need to borrow $1,000." I've had that happen to me. I've had people ask me, "Yo, I need to borrow $1,000." I'm like, "What's your credit score?" And it sounds weird.
So you gonna go ask Jeff for money? Make sure your credit score
right. Cause I'm at like the bank, bro. Like,
and if you come and ask me for money, you only gonna ask one time. That's it. That's my rule of thumb.
That's my rule of thumb. No. So that's my thing. Anything that's under a certain number. I ain't gonna say number because people gonna be like, "Yo, I need this." No, anything under a certain number. I give you the money, but that may be my last time talking to you. Meaning like I'm not gonna fool you like that. Yeah. Unless you really come back to me and you're like I've had people say I'm gonna pay you on Friday. You ask for my money on Wednesday. I don't know how that's gonna work. I'm willing to give you more time, but you said that you're gonna pay me on Friday. If you don't pay me on Friday, it's a wrap, bro. I can be my cousin, it don't matter. I don't care. Like, and the reason being is because I stand on principle. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it's like if you said I don't know when I'm gonna pay you back. But I'm gonna pay you back when I get it when the time is right. Cool.
You being real.
And I respect that. Yeah. Like I said though, man, it's all love. Yeah. We're gonna help everybody we can help. And at the end of the day, we love y'all, man. So thank y'all for tuning in.
Man. Episode 8 is in the books.
It's in the books. Hey,
we got some fun stuff coming up, man.
Hey, y'all heard 3. We added more. But
it was more than 3, but you know. Hey, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe. Share this with somebody too. Share this with somebody. Hopefully this helped you. And as well as if you got your own way of doing things, put that in the comments. We want to hear about it.
And our socials is below, so like hit us if you need any advice or anything.
And another thing is, like you said before, we don't have all the answers. You know what I mean? We don't have all the answers, but we've built that foundation where we can kind of rely on each other for if I don't know something.
And we have a network of people behind us that are even more professionals that do this.
Iron sharpens iron, man.
Right, so that's it, man.
So much love. Humble Brag Podcast, episode 8.
Episode 8.
We'll see y'all later.
We out. See you on the next one.
Peace.